Hello and welcome to Grace St. Luke's Church in Memphis, Tennessee. My name is Ollie Rencher, the rector, and I'm delighted to be with you today for our midweek Christian formation, something we've been doing since we've been safer at home. And today I'm privileged to have with me Todd Richardson of Crosstown, and he'll have an opportunity to tell you more about Crosstown. I'd like to thank you first and foremost for staying safe and hoping you're well wherever you are, and appreciate that you have logged in to Grace St. Luke's Church to add us as a part of your spiritual journey. So I now welcome Todd Richardson and would like very much for Todd to introduce himself and share a bit about how he arrived to Crosstown and what is Crosstown, and then I'd like to ask him a few questions. Welcome, Todd.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I look forward when we can do this interview in person. My name's Todd Richardson. I have been working on Crosstown since 2010, which is amazing that it's been 10 years this year. Actually, just this past May was, I say past May, we're in May, was 10 years. So I moved to Memphis in 2008 to be a professor at the University of Memphis, an art history professor. So, art history, commercial real estate development. Seems pretty clear connection there, so I probably don't need to go into that at all.
Right.
2008 taught at the University of Memphis, and just this past year resigned there. So continued to teach and to be involved in academics kind of throughout the process. In 2010, we formed Crosstown Arts. I say we, Christopher Miner and I formed Crosstown Arts with a dual mission of on the one hand, continuing to cultivate arts and music in Memphis, and on the other hand, to facilitate the process and the conversation about what could happen with the former Sears Crosstown building. So just a short summary, I always say using building both as a verb and a noun. Yes, it was about renovating a building, but it was also about building community. And I think that that's an important point given the current circumstances, because everything that the Crosstown development team did and everything that Crosstown Arts continues to do in the building is really programming to bring people together. And it's the foundation of it is community. And so now walking through a building that is empty of people is a very eerie, kind of surreal experience given the last 10 years. But so kind of did the dual role of academic and community developer over the course of 10 years, but just this past year made a switch, and am now, my role now is president of Crosstown Redevelopment Cooperative. Okay. And so really, to put that simply, the concourse building, which is this, as you know, a vertical urban village anchored in arts, education, and healthcare. There's retail, there's office space, there's school, there's church health, and then there's over 500 people that live here in 265 apartments. Okay. And the building is governed by a co-op. So it functions like a co-op where there's a board for the co-op that's made up of representatives from our tenants. And then my role is president of the co-op. So I answer to that board, and then I'm responsible for the operations and management of Concourse.
Okay. Wow, what a fascinating role. And I must say, personally, thinking about Crosstown as a young boy growing up in North Mississippi, I was one who made the pilgrimage to Memphis often with my family. And we would shop at Sears and come to that space. And I remember Memphis in that way. And over the years, I have come to be saddened by what that space had become, how it had become abandoned and obviously dangerous. And then it was, for me, a symbol of hope and new beginnings and resurrection through those of you who came together to start to imagine a new space. And so when I talk about Crosstown, just even the space, and I like the fact that you talk about building in two ways, I have always personally described it as a symbol of resurrection from a spiritual sense, but then in a communal sense of resurrection, of new beginnings, of new life, of things that we didn't think was possible. And so I've called it a beacon of hope. I describe Crosstown to friends who live in other cities in the country and friends who live outside the US. I talk with them about Crosstown as this beacon of hope that has brought together people of diverse languages, backgrounds, political views, ways of being, whoever they are as a child of God. They have a home and they can see light and life and hope at Crosstown. And I don't know of a place in the Memphis region where all of that is centralized. I know you can find it in pockets, but for me, it has been that one place where the unreconciled world in which we live, and whatever a person wants to sort of, wherever you want to go with unreconciled, it's being reconciled in the space of Crosstown. And so I just want to commend you to say how I feel deeply about, and that's why I spend so much time there on that property. And my mornings have included being at the YMCA at as early as 5 a.m. that's in that space. And it's strange to not have that as a part of my rhythm. But I say all that, Todd, to say, tell me about how it came to be. And then what are you now having to do differently as you look at short and long range planning? Because there's a grief that citizens and you, of course, experience, but then also you are a person of hope, and we all are in some way. So tell me about that kind of before and after, or the now and the future even.
Well, first of all, I really appreciate that personal testimony on Crosstown. It's more meaningful than you can ever know. To have worked, for a few years on something, and to try to be so intentional about those things, and then to have people have personal experiences where the ideas that we had, the hopes that we have come to fruition to some degree or another. Not that it's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but that's really meaningful. So thank you for sharing that. I think it came to be because of the arts as the spark. So we knew from the beginning that it was 1 million square feet. It's never going to be just a arts mecca. It's got to be sustainable. But at the same time, you really had arts and education as the foundation from which the vision of the Better Together vertical village emerged. And I think that from the process of the development was one big art project. I love the idea, or the fact that, if you ask most people in Memphis, I mean, how did Crosstown happen? Who made it? Who really made it happen?
Right. And I hear that a lot.
Most people would say, I don't know. They might say my name, they might say McLean's name, they might say the building owner's name. There was no single force, behind this. It was really a team effort. And if anybody's to credit, it's our 8 founding partners in Methodist and Churchill.
8 founding partners. Okay.
8 founding partners. And these are the partners like Memphis Teacher Residency and Crosstown Arts and Methodist and St. Jude and Alzac St. Jude. These are the folks that came on board early and committed to over half of the commercial office space.
Okay.
And so you've got a development team where, hey, I was happy being an academic. McLean was happy doing his thing. This wasn't an ego project. This was something that we just found really, really compelling. And we wanted to spend our time seeing if it could happen. And if it didn't happen, we gave it a good try, and I'll go back to writing my second book. This is.
Which means you've written a first book that I don't know about.
Yes.
I have to ask you about that at some point.
On an artist named Peter Bruegel the Elder, and came out in 2012.
Okay.
So it came about through this really group effort, not only in the development team, but the founding partners. The process, we had time. I mean, we were doing it in the middle of the recession. We started in 2010. And so we weren't in a huge hurry, and we allowed ourselves to change our minds and to take different directions when different opportunities, showed themselves. as opposed to, hey, here's our development process, here's the idea, and we're going to pursue this till the end as quickly as possible, to just get it done. And
Okay.
that wasn't what we, you know, put before ourselves. So so time is a huge one, which also was made possible by the building owner, who had, you know, patient capital to let us take our process.
Okay.
And then the other thing was that we knew redeveloping the building wasn't enough. I mean, I know that saying that may sound strange given it's 1.2 million square feet, but we would always say to ourselves, you know, if we redevelop this building and the building's a success and nothing happens in the neighborhood around the building, then kind of what's the point? And so that point of departure, that it's really more about the neighborhood than it is the building itself. And the building is a catalyst for helping to reinvigorate a disinvested area. Then that drove what the vision was. And what I mean by that is a very specific example is of 1.2 million square feet, we only have about 55,000 square feet of retail.
Okay.
So not much in terms of proportion. To put that into perspective, Ponce City Market, which is you know, the Sears renovated Sears building in Atlanta, has 350,000 square feet of retail.
Oh, okay.
And so what we wanted was, you know, for a disinvested neighborhood, the best thing you can do is put people there. And it's the people who are going to drive demand for all the other things and create safety and create interest and curiosity. And so our goal was to develop a vertical village where now there's, well, not now, but before COVID, there were 3,000 people coming and going every day.
3,
and then that would then 3,000.
Okay. Okay.
That then drives development across the street. And so we wanted to put just enough retail in the building, but not too much, so that people get tired of what's there. And then we had all these empty buildings across the street that are now mostly leased, that is a result of the people who were there.
I see.
And to not overwhelm the development with retail, such that you just go there and you don't go anywhere else in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So I think those things, we had time, the arts as the spark, arts and education as the spark, the community that came together to make it happen. And then yeah, that idea that it's really about the neighborhood, as opposed to just a building. That's how it all came about. And then, you know, today, as we talked about earlier, it feels like a movie set, you know, just waiting for everyone to show up for the next shoot, and they've gone home for the weekend. It's, you know, what makes Crosstown interesting is the programming too that happens there, all of the events, what Crosstown Arts does. It's all, you know, concerts and
I know.
gallery shows.
I've been in and out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to not have all that going on is a surreal feeling.
Okay. And so this time the world is feeling the impact, the effects of the pandemic, and we're aware that people in all sorts of groups are being exposed and are in fear and anxiety, and so we're sharing that as a human family, I would say.
Yeah.
And then Crosstown has been this place where people could just come and be. And right now that's not possible, as we are being safer at home. And so my question around that is, what is the short, you know, not that you have the clarity of answers like I don't here at Grace St. Luke's. We are doing a lot of brainstorming about short and long-term plans for how to support our parishioners and be a part of the community. What is your group thinking that you can talk about, even short and long term, based on the fact that the world is now different and will be for a long time in how it gathers?
Yeah. So, you know, on the one hand, it's one day at a time. You know, I've started thinking really in terms of pre-vaccine and post-vaccine. We can project and speculate all we want to about different phases and timing and safety measures and everything, but and things will continue, I think personally, to get better. But in terms of any real change when it comes to things like going to a concert, a live concert in a theater, you're right. That's a ways off. And so really what we've done at Crosstown is a couple of things. One is, what can we do now in this moment to provide content to the community? I mean, for the last, Crosstown Arts is 10 years old and has, 7 years of content, of live music performances, of gallery shows, of interviews with artists and musicians. And so you can go to Crosstown Arts, Facebook page or website, and we're each week releasing concerts, live concerts online. So Friday night, I think it's at 6:30. Don Lifted, Lawrence Matthews, he had a beautiful, beautiful concert in the green room. I guess it was about, gosh, time as it gets away from me now, 9 months ago or so.
Okay.
And so that the concert video will be released Friday night. And so
Beautiful.
Really focused on how can we reach people in their safer at home, in a safer at home context, with sharing content from the last. There's wonderful jazz concerts. There's all sorts of things that are being released. So we're trying to use the time to be strategic in that way. There's another project that Crosstown Arts has done called Against the Grain.
Against the Grain.
Against the Grain. If you just go to crosstownarts.org, it is essentially a platform for musicians to release music videos.
Okay.
And you then, as a viewer, can click on the video, and you have the opportunity to buy a $5 ticket to see the live music. You don't have to buy a ticket. You can see the video without buying a ticket, but it's an opportunity just to make a donation. And so we've got over 100 now musicians who have uploaded their new music videos of new work, original work, that you can just simply click on, buy a ticket, pay $5, and watch the videos. And it's a way to support musicians.
Are they from around the region or all over the country, or?
They're just Mid-South.
Mid-South,
so Memphis primarily, but Mid-South musicians. So it's a way to really support the local creative community.
I see.
So yeah, those are just a couple examples of how we're really trying to be strategic in providing content to people in this moment. And then, it also, from a concourse perspective, allows us to do things that we maybe normally wouldn't have time to get to, in terms of thinking about management and structure and upgrades on things. We're building a new parking lot in the hopes that in the future, people are definitely going to be coming back. So that's over on the north side next to the gymnasium. So it'll add 100 new parking spaces.
On the north side, I see.
Mm-hmm. So next to the pool on the north side.
Yes.
So that's great. And then, to be more specific to your question related to the future, I will say that things are starting to tick up here. Most of our retail businesses are back open under the regulations that they need to be, restaurants at 50%. I can't think of anyone that is not open or won't be within the next week. We have a new pizzeria that's opening on Tuesday for takeout and delivery. So it's, I can't even say the name of it because the press release hasn't gone out, but be on the lookout.
I will look closely.
By the time people watch this, they'll have already seen the press release. But we're excited about that.
Great.
And so there's been an uptick there, and things like, the nail salon and the hair salon, they're busier than ever because people are playing catch up. Unlike me, I got a COVID haircut.
Well, I maintain this bald head for many years now. So welcome to you.
I just wanted to be like you.
Right. That's right.
So, from a concourse perspective, we, even in the most intense times, there were still over 1,000 people coming here every day. So there are over 500 people that live here. Church health, as Dr. Scott Morris says, even in the midst of the virus, people still break their bones and get cancer, unfortunately, and they still don't have insurance. And so they have continued their clinic. We're also a testing site. So down on the west side, near the brewery, you can make an appointment and there's drive-through testing for the virus. And so they test, between 100 and 200 people a day down there. So it's just how to use the content and the space the best that you can, plan for the ramp ups when they happen, and pray for a vaccine quick.
Well, I just appreciate the work that is Crosstown, and it is an institution. I talk about it as Crosstown, and I sometimes even point to that direction, in the city, because the city, the community, and all communities need a Crosstown, need someplace that is a fusion of the human family in all of our wants and needs and brokenness and joys to gather. And so I appreciate, and Grace St. Luke's, we are located in Midtown Memphis, and we're at a busy place in the life of the city in a lot of regards. And we continue to try and find ways to connect with the community, to partner with the community. And one of the reasons that we had reached out to Crosstown and to you is that we believe in what you are about there. It aligns with who we are and our vision that's connected to healing and reconciling and transformation. And so the vision of this parish, as it continues to evolve into a broader space for people to come and to work out their spirituality and answer, their own questions while they ask along the way. So I just want to say thank you for what you do and who you are in the community. And Crosstown Arts will be where we send a lot of people to pay attention. And we can do that through our own website, but also just through those who will join us on this interview and get a chance to pay attention. So with that, I will just say thank you, and that we are paying close attention to you, and hope that if there's anything that Grace St. Luke's can do, or any parting words that you might give us of how we can support you as a city or as a region, please just leave us with some words before we sign off, ways we can support you.
Yeah, well, you said it earlier, and it's hope, that we enter into these times with a sense of peace, that there is someone that is in control of the chaos, but at the same time recognizing that there's been some good that's come of this the great pause, as Richard Rohr has been calling it, and to not lose sight of those things as well, that the pause has caused us to, or allowed us to recognize. But from a specifically concourse perspective, as we ramp back up, masks are required on site, and we're doing everything we can to remain safe, but it's just support the local businesses that are here. We provide free delivery within a 4-mile radius, so all of our restaurants, Concourse has a new delivery service. So you got a family that somebody likes global, a son that likes farm burger, and a daughter that likes pizza. You can order all of it, and it comes in one package, just kind of like Sears used to do. So it's a unique opportunity to be able to get food from a bunch of different restaurants at once, and it's a free delivery within a 4-mile radius. So I would just say supporting local businesses, venture out as you feel safe, and continue the hope in the midst of all the changing information.
Wow. Well, Todd Richardson, thank you. Thank you so much for this time of interview and conversation from your office, your remote office, and I'm working from my actually remote space at the church very briefly, where I entered the building in a mask, and then I'm in the privacy of my office right now, but will be back home shortly to just be very intentional about those things as we consider what's next for us at Grace St. Luke's.
Well,
So
thank you for
again,
having me. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. Thank you.